Thousands, and I mean thousands of children go missing every year in the US alone. You sometimes get text messages, bright signs, newspapers, or on TV about kids who gone missing. Hell, sometimes you will see posts on social media of people sharing kids who have gone missing. In the end, they're taken pretty seriously, not just within the community, but the police as well. Well, according to these parents, it seems like that's not the case with their child, Quawan Charles. Let's talk about it. 15-year-old Quawan Charles was reported missing on October 30th in Baldwin, Louisiana. At the last day that he was seen, he was staying at the home of his father, Kenneth Jacko. Quawan had just moved in and started to attend at a new school. However, on that fateful day, Quawan's father went to the store around 4 p.m. He got home and knocked on his son's door, but no answer, so he broke in and noticed that he wasn't home. So he was getting concerned about his son's whereabouts, and the reason, according to his father, was because his son had left his dog that he loved so much. He disappeared sometime before 3 p.m. when his mother had planned to pick him up sometime that afternoon. His mother had called him, but he never picked up. She kept calling, but to her concern, he still never answered. Around 7 p.m., Quawan's parents had called the Baldwin Police Department to report their 15-year-old son missing. This is when the parents start to get a bit suspicious. You see, Quawan's parents claimed that the police brushed off the parents' concerns, saying that they believe he was just at a football game. If that's the case, that doesn't answer why he wouldn't answer his phone after many hours have passed. They also asked the parents if Quawan had a troubled past, maybe thinking something caught up to him, but no, he was known to be a quiet boy. However, his parents did mention that while Quawan had never been a problem at home, he had been placed on a curfew by the 16th Judicial District Court due to discipline issues at school. His father did go to that football game that was happening that night and a Halloween event that was going on, but resulted in nothing. His mother also went to her home in Youngsville, just 35 miles away from his father's home, to see if he turned up at her house. But again, nothing. The parents were confused as he never left home before without their permission or knowledge, as he didn't have any friends in the area since he was new. The police also insisted that all procedures were followed. The parents were not happy that there was no Amber Alert or that they didn't immediately take action and go out to look for Quawan. Now, I can understand not looking for the child as soon as the call happens or even within an hour or two, but days have passed and they still weren't actively looking for him. So with this being the case, the parents were frustrated and tried to take matters into their own hands. On November 3rd, the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office got involved with the investigation, and on 6 p.m. of that day, Quawan's body was found in a sugarcane field near Lourville, a rural community just 20 miles away from his home. The police were able to find his body after investigators sent a signal to his cell phone. Upon further investigation, the sheriff's office told the family that they found water in his lungs, so the cause of death was resulted in drowning. They found muddy waters in his airways. There's an issue with the family believing this, because in the autopsy photo of Quawan, it tells a different story. Now, I'm not going to show the autopsy photo for obvious reasons, and if you decide to look at it yourself, be warned that it is very graphic, but I'll give a brief description. All you see is his head while still in the body bag. The skin on the left side of his face is starting to peel off, and the entire left side of his lips is completely gone, revealing his teeth. Investigators say that it's possible that the animals or insects in the field had eaten his face. It's been 4 days, and autopsy said that he did in fact die on the day he disappeared. So this would have given time for the body to slightly decompose and attract bugs or wild animals. The coroner reported that the scratches and wounds on his face were aquatic animal activity. However, Quawan's parents didn't buy this and even thought that foul play was involved. But the coroner said that the injuries on his mouth happened after his death, not before. But there's an issue with all of this. The family's attorney said, "Can somebody who's 5'6" typically drown in 2 feet of water?" No, not unless there's another cause associated with that. The family had ordered their own independent autopsy and asked to raise $150,000, which they managed to raise over $100K. The results remained the same, that his death was consistent with drowning, but they declined to state a cause of death because they found no premortem trauma or natural disease. But the question still remains, how did Quawan drown in water that was ankle deep in a sugarcane field? Even after all of this, the police still regarded this as a homicide. So now the question sits, why and how was he there? The police were looking for any evidence of Quawan on video because the police were trying to figure out what happened because it was unclear if he was considered a runaway. On November 11th, police received surveillance footage showing Quawan. They didn't release it to the public until 6 days later on the 17th. It showed that he was with someone and getting in a vehicle with 2 people. His parents found out by a third party that the 2 people he was with was 17-year-old Gavin Irvin and his mother, 37-year-old Janet Irvin. Quawan's dad claims that he nor his wife know either of the Irvins and that he didn't give permission to go out with them. You can see Quawan voluntarily get in the vehicle with them, so kidnapping is out of the question for the police. On the day Quawan disappeared, his father Jacko said that he talked to the Irvins on the day that his son's body was discovered. He said Gavin and Quawan had been together on October 30th, but said that Quawan had left later in the day. Jacko states, Gavin said Quawan got up and said he was leaving. He asked where Quawan was going, and after that, he disappeared. Yes, Gavin and his mother Janet just disappeared right after this, and I'll get to that in a bit, because this does get darker. You see, Janet had a past. She had been arrested 5 times since 2002. She had charges such as possession of synthetic cannabinoid, possession of drug paraphernalia, simple burglary, criminal trespass, and violation of her probation. The list just goes on, but there's one that raises red flags and what people are linking to the death of Quawan. In 2010, the father of her 2 youngest children told the court in a sworn statement asking for a restraining order against her mother and that she was abusive to them and wanted their father to have full custody for their 5 and 2-year-old. According to the father, Janet drops their kids on the floor, allowing them to play in the street, allowing their 2-year-old to drink out of her beer, and accuses her of stealing his prescription medication, money, and his truck in the middle of the night. With all of this, the judge approved the restraining order. So even with all of this, the police aren't officially investigating anyone, but they're still investigating his death as a homicide, though they didn't declare it as that officially. The police had stated that they had been questioning people that believed to have been with Quawan moments before his death, but are not naming any suspects. They even declined to state that they had talked to the Irvins, the people who were with Quawan on the day he died. Now, back to the fact that they disappeared themselves. The Irvins left their home the same week that they were questioned by Quawan's father, and a neighbor of theirs said that they were evicted from their mobile homes. Well, this doesn't raise any red flags, but let's see where this goes. Janet's father, Alvin Irvin, told Daily Mail that he doesn't know where his daughter is at, and he hasn't spoken to her in 3 months. He even said that no one else in the family contacts her. Sheriff Romero also said he had reviewed a video that showed that Quawan was alone in the area where his body was found for at least part of the time before he died. I wasn't able to find that video anywhere, so it probably means it wasn't put out in the public yet. I couldn't find anything on the Irvins as of right now, and I don't know whether the police are investigating them or not, but people are sharing their photos in hope that they'll be questioned. A little odd to disappear within the same time that Quawan died. The family of Quawan are upset at the Baldwin Police Department for not taking their missing reports seriously and taking too long to decide to look for him.
People does little to explain why police never issued an Amber Alert after Charles's parents reported him missing on October 30th. Baldwin Assistant Police Chief Samuel Wise told our local affiliate KLFY there was no evidence supporting Charles was abducted or in any danger to cause an Amber Alert, and that the video now proves that.
They did follow protocol. They did everything by the book.
Charles's family had previously stated that Quawan had left with this woman, Janet Irvin, and her 17-year-old son. Charles's parents say they didn't know either of them, and Quawan left without their consent, which is why they reported him missing. Authorities later found the teen's body in a sugarcane field in Iberia Parish on November 3rd. His family suspects foul play, but an independent autopsy reiterated the coroner's initial findings that his death was consistent with drowning. However, the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office is investigating his disappearance as a possible homicide. For CBS This Morning, Jerika
Sam Wise was even questioned as to why he didn't ping Quawan's phone the same day he was reported missing. Sam Wise says, "I don't know why it wasn't done here at Baldwin Police. We don't ping phones. We tried reaching out to the young man the entire weekend by calling and texting him and just trying to get a hold of him. So our agency is not able to ping phones because we don't have that type of technology at this department." Quawan's parents believe this attack is racially motivated, but we aren't sure of it. I can't say it is or isn't, but I'm not throwing away that possibility. The family's attorney believed that if Quawan was a different color, then the police would have searched him the same day he was reported missing. An activist by the name of Andrei Arsenax, I'm sorry if I butchered his last name wrong, has been with the family during this investigation, and this failure response from the police shows a larger issue to him. He says, regardless of whether this was racially motivated or not, regardless of what the situation surrounding his death may be, the fact that the police departments didn't act the way they would have acted if Quawan was a 15-year-old white girl named Katie, and that's the problem. Whatever the motivation was, the reality is a 15-year-old lost his life and his family is in pain. Something happened to Quawan that day. He didn't just drown in a pool or a lake, he was drowned in a water that was ankle deep. They still haven't laid him to rest as they're still trying to figure out the official cause of death. I hope the family gets their peace soon, and as of today, no one knows where Janet and Gavin are located, and that the police do not find them suspicious. If you guys made it to the end of the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments down below what your guys' thoughts on this. I personally think that Irvins knows something that the public doesn't know. Anyways, let me know what other cases I should cover. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.